What is up? What is up, my beautiful, powerful patients? This is your mental chiropractor. My name is Tessa Bryant. I'm here to help you realign your mind. I'm here to help you take back your power, reclaim your power, plop yourselves back down to the driver's seat of your life, and drive your life in the direction that you want and not in the direction of what others want for you. And I'm going to tell you, I've often said that, my content, my delivery is not for the faint at heart. And, certain people, they are not ready for it. They don't think that it is a thing. It is a thing, and get into it if you're into it. So I just want to share this conversation that I had with this person in my chat, and just to kind of give an insight as to a person, for a melanated person who no longer subscribes to the narrative of or lives along the lines or is in alignment with the narrative of racism. Even though, yes, it does exist, and there are some people out there who participate in it and who are affected by it, but I am not one of those people. And I don't know why that enrages people so much. It really angers people that I am a person who does not energetically intertwine, entertain, or vibrate on that frequency. I just don't. And so I just want to read a conversation that I was having with a person. And just because, people, and I'm not alone, there is a community of us, but people who are along these thought lines, who vibrate on this spiritual frequency where racism does not and cannot exist. I understand that people don't understand that, because I understand that the programming is very deep. And so when people come at me, I want to also display that I am unbothered, because I understand where it comes from. It comes from the programming. And even though they are of a spiritual belief, of a spiritual practice, but then there's always, what do we call them? um I'm going to say breadcrumbs, but like when you're on a journey, when you're on a path, especially like if you're hiking, there are certain like plot points along the way, and there's different plot points along every spiritual path. So even though we are on a spiritual journey, we're still caught in certain places. And so, on the spiritual journey, if you find yourself triggered by something, it's not necessarily for you to then go after the person or go after the thing or go after the content that triggered you, but yet it is for, let me sit with this. Let me do a self inquiry with this. Why does this bother me so? Where have I felt this before? How old was I when I felt this? And what do I need in order to heal from this? Because this person was talking about healing. And it is from a video that I did when I was talking about Shaman Durek, because this guy claims to be a shaman. And it's no shade, there's no judgment, but it's just like, it's okay to question things. It's okay to apply critical thinking. It's okay to have discernment about certain things, especially when you're seeing something that's almost like antithetical of what the spiritual, what a shaman in my mind would be. Especially when I think of shamans, I think of a heightened, elevated level of spirituality, and maybe that's my bad. But yeah, so I just want to share this with you of the conversation that we had. And again, like a person in my position, this position is not for a person who is faint at heart, and my content is not like the recipient, the the viewer is not for the faint at heart, but it is for those people who are into their empowerment and want to step more and more into their empowerment, for those people who want to be spiritually liberated, for those people who want to be in alignment with their true core nature of who they are, those people who want to be connected with their source being. Oops, sorry y'all. um That's hubby. I'm going to let him know that I am recording. Thank y'all. But yeah, so it's if you are that audience, if you're a member of that audience, then you are in the right place. I'm into chiropractor, where I'm here to realign your mind. And sometimes that cracking of the old way of thinking, that old earth way of thinking, it doesn't feel good, right? It sounds like, oh my God, that sounds horrible. But then when you get up off the table, you feel amazing. So that is what I just want to, just go through this conversation that me and this lovely person was having, because I think it's insightful. And let me go grab it. Okay. So I'm talking about Shaman Durek, and I had just finished, the documentary. And the person, y'all, it's pretty long, and I have the attention span of a gnat, so I don't know if I'm going to read everything, but I'm going to do my best. But you can also just go to this video and read the comments yourself. But the person said, I don't know much about this shaman other than the documentary. With that said, true enlightenment doesn't ignore injustice. It responds to it with love and awareness. Addressing racism isn't unspiritual or unenlightened. It is a path to collective and personal healing. When you discredit the shaman's enlightenment simply because he speaks about racism, you're making two false assumptions. The spiritual or enlightened path must be above social and material issues like racism. The calling out injustice is a sign of paranoia, ego, anger, or unenlightenment rather than an expression of love and awareness. This is problematic because it spiritually bypasses reality. Spiritual bypassing is when someone uses spiritual ideas like we're all one or everything is love to dismiss or avoid confronting real harm or injustice. It's essentially ignoring suffering under the guise of being higher or above it. Lastly, you're big on alignment, so I will leave you with this. Fighting for divine love, enlightenment, fighting for equality. If divine love is the recognition of our shared essence, out then fighting for justice like racial equality is an act of spiritual alignment. Speaking about racism isn't a sign of separation, it's a sign of compassion. The Buddha left his palace and engaged with suffering. Jesus overturned tables in the temple and spoke against oppression. Gandhi, MLK Jr., and others rooted their activism in spiritual principles. These are examples of how enlightenment does not mean apathy or passivity, it means love expressed through action. And then I responded, I said, um, I could agree with you if there was a case of injustice. If you didn't see the documentary, um, it was just about him marrying a Norwegian princess. And because he was of a darker skin color, of course, racism had to come into play because by default, that's what, the Western society dictates. And so that's basically what happened. Although there was no real justification for it. It wasn't like they were treating him like a second class citizen or anything, but they were treating him like a Westerner, like our daughter is marrying a Westerner, just for the sheer fact that he was from the United States. And but there were no other demonstrations that it was about, or anything that was said that it was about his skin tone. Okay, so I said I could agree with you if there was a case of injustice. I'm not sure if you watched the documentary, but clearly it was not a case of racism at all. Anytime a melanated person is introduced into the narrative, by default, it becomes an issue of racism born out of mental conditioning and programming. When one has realized their divinity, they have hyper aware, I should say are, they are hyper aware that their skin has nothing to do with anything and moves about the earth accordingly. The aforementioned enlightened avatars spoke on injustice from a spiritual perspective, not once bringing anyone's skin into the narrative because it's not spiritually relevant. The biggest spiritual tenement is we are one. There is only one race, and that is the human race. That is not spiritual bypassing in the least bit. It's actually a main vein of spiritual teachings. Racial equality is achieved when one realizes that the skin that they were born in is not a physiological curse, as society would have one to believe. The establishment is deathly afraid of people waking up and realizing their power and potential does not lie in the outer skin, but within their inner being. All we have to do is go within and reconnect with infinite intelligence. Okay, then the person came back and said, I watched the entire documentary. I will say this and leave. I have a background in film and race studies. I also worked in DEI in corporate America. I have been around predominantly white spaces for a long time as a gifted POC who got scholarships to go to predominantly white schools since very young. I think I know a thing or two about racism, subtle and overt. You seem to be looking for overt racism, and that's why you don't count the shaman's experience as valid. Racism shows up in many ways. So are we going to say, what is it called? Microaggressions of racism? Is that what we're going to do here? The microaggressions. You know, there's a new fangled term for everything to justify the programming and the victimhood narrative, right? Okay. So you seem to be looking for overt racism, and that's why you don't count the shaman's experience as valid. Racism shows up in many ways. In the documentary, they literally gave examples of the racism the shaman experienced, but they're not listed. Lately, I have studied spirituality extensively and do a lot of integrated work. You are leading people astray with your take on enlightenment. You have a lot of the same issues that many spiritual gurus, I would not call myself a spiritual guru at all, but thank you, have, which is, but she did put it in quote, he or she put it in quotes, have, which is poor integration of knowledge about the lived experience, aka the material world, while also having humility and empathy for people. Till Swan, another spiritual person who is enlightened that I follow, does a better job with integrating higher consciousness and information with the world, with the real world human lived experience while practicing empathy. Okay, I'm going to say the real world human experience. That's all relative, and I don't necessarily deal with relativity anymore. I deal with more of the absolute, and you will see what I mean by that later on in this thread. She created a safe healing environment for people while educating and empowering them. She put empower, he or she put empowering in all caps. That is what real healers and spiritual people do when they want to truly help people. uh, they don't belittle other people's lived experience. With that said, good luck with that tone of yours and your temperament. You're calling the shaman's experience paranoia is kind of rude and mean. We're all one race, but I honor difference and similarities. This is both, okay, this is a part I think that I didn't read because my gnat size of attention, I think I probably just blinked out. Not on purpose, just because my attention span is the size of a gnat. We're all one race, but I honor difference and similarities. This is both and consciousness, which is ancient consciousness wisdom. You need to look into spirituality from other cultures prior to colonization. Most people in modern society are raised to be binary thinkers, and they lack the ability to do pattern recognition or to hold multiple truths at once. With that said, just because we are all one human race doesn't mean that we are all the same or have equal opportunity in this matrix. Okay. He or she just admitted that it is a matrix. The matrix is built by the machine. The matrix is disconnecting you from your spiritual source. So in the matrix, no, equal opportunity does not exist. Come out of the matrix. Just because there are certain programming running doesn't mean the issues that come up in the material physical world aren't important or necessary to fix. You frame a lot of things from a very limited consciousness, which is dependent on binary cognition. Look up why binary cognition can be highly problematic. I am capable of holding multiple truths like the trained spiritualists taught me in my journey, as well as my own intuition reinforced. I still disagree. Your video had a lot of spiritual bypassing and binary frameworks, which doesn't serve the complex human experience. People are equally spiritual beings as well as human beings. Okay, well, I don't say equally because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I wouldn't call that equal. To I mean, we can vibrate on an equal level, but when we drop this physical body, we just re-emerge with our formlessness that was never born nor dies. So I don't think that's equal to being a human being, but I digress. I will always push people towards wholeness. That means honoring all areas of their being equally. That is enlightenment. I suggest you watch some of Teal Swan's videos, especially on bypassing. She truly has the ability to integrate spiritual knowledge and have empathy while still pushing for the individual to take accountability for their physical life. She does a better job than the shaman in that regard as well. Okay, cool. And she gave me the peace sign. I responded, and it's almost over. Please don't feel like you ever have to leave because we see things differently. If you are saying that because of the melanin level in my skin that I am automatically subjugated to inferiority, then there's nothing more for me to say. If you read my bio, I say that I am not for the weak at heart. I am not for everyone, but I root for everyone because we all are sparks of the divine, in my opinion. And because of that, nothing in all caps and no one in all caps can get in my way unless I allow in all caps it. Unless I allow it, because I am just that powerful in all caps. I am with I am with I should have said I'm okay. I am with not being your person. I should have said okay. I am not for everyone. I will say this: when you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. I share pretty much the same path as you, except I was in front of the camera. I just chose a different mindset. Thanks for the engagement. Almost done. Sorry, I don't do fragmented consciousness or binary thinking. I do both and consciousness, aka holistic consciousness. You're still stuck in binary, which fragments your being. My choice to leave isn't about differences alone. I engage with people who don't have the same opinion as me all the time. Hence the reason why I commented in the first place. To be honest, your energy isn't healing. You still have growing to do because you can't hold multiple truths to realities in your being. You said in your video you don't bring certain beliefs over here to your channel. People like Till Swan don't do that. I have dealt with beings who know how to be kind and hold space for multiple viewpoints. That is why Swan has millions of followers. I will always prioritize healing and transformative spaces and give my engagement more to thought leaders and healers like Swan. I have worked with many spiritualists, gurus, and enlightened people who have the frequency I seek. Unfortunately, you do not have the higher vibration I seek. I will stick to channels and spiritualists who resonate with me. Enjoy your channel and the space you're trying to create for people in your frequency level. And I said, absolutely. Go where you vibrate. I fully support that. I'm glad for Teal Swan. Valerie Love is also a powerhouse, but again, she's not for the faint at heart. But like I said before, if anyone can convince me that I was born to be inferior because of my skin, then I will capitulate. But what I know from my spiritual journey and awakening, it isn't pretty, but it's liberating and empowering. Again, I thank you for the engagement. Now, the person has not responded to me as yet. But here's the thing. In our spiritual journey, along our spiritual journey, we're going to resonate with people who are where we are, or resonate with people who meet us where we're at, right? I am the tough love type of person. I am not the coddly feel good, say what you want to hear. Like, I'm over it already. I'm over this whole paradigm. I'm over this whole narrative. I'm over this whole lie that people's lives are governed by the skin that they're in. I know that to be a complete fallacy. And the only thing that makes it true is a person's mindset and their energetic frequency. That's the only thing that makes it true, because it's all out there. For every single energetic frequency, there's a matching vibrational experience. And so I will leave it at that. Again, I have never been the type of the feel good, cuddly, woo 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 wee, only with dogs, only with animals am I like that with, but with people, I'm a little bit more of a tough love type of approach. And so if that's not, if that's too triggering for you, if and I say fragile but not in an insulting way, then I'm okay with, as long as you find the person, find the path, find the community that works for you, that gets you free, liberated, and empowered. I don't care if you're melanated or low melanated, because we're all in the same shit boat together. I don't care where you get your empowerment from. I don't care where you get your support for your liberation from. Just get it. Okay, y'all, and with that, my name is Tezra Bryan. I'm your mental chiropractor. I'm here to help you realign your mind, take back your power, reclaim your power, plop yourself back down to the driver's seat of your life. I was on a call today and with David Strauss. Shout out to David Strauss. And he said, you can't separate who you are from what you think. I'm going to leave y'all with that. Munch on that a little bit, ponder on that, and I'll see you in the next video. Be empowered.